Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to finish this second bin that I've created for one of my friends. Now, I've received some comments online because I don't know how my friend's going to be. He's volunteered to use this bin. He's volunteered to follow my directions, but I don't have full control over what he does. And some people are like, well, he needs to study up on it and he needs to know all these things. And I understand that, but at the same time, if I can't get regular people that have no desire to sit there and really study raising worms to do this, it's not going to ever spread. And that's part of my goal of these videos, is to get other people to do it who otherwise might not have thought about it. And this is another design for a bin, and he is somebody that, he's a doctor. I'm sure he can figure out some things, and if he needs help, I'm only like a mile away. But there is a chance he could do something that is just incredibly wrong that I didn't think not to tell him, and that can happen. I mean, it can happen. I mean, when the first set of worms I bought, I don't think they were the red wigglers that I bought, and they escaped the bin and all died on the floor. I mean, stuff happens. You can't control everything, and to tell somebody that they have to do 18 hours of research before they're allowed to, have a worm bin is kind of ridiculous in my mind. It's not that hard. There's some things that can go wrong. There's some things that can go right, but I don't have control over him. And I've done this once before. I gave a bin to somebody, and he asked me, hey, can I throw in this piece of bread? I said, yes. Well, later that week, he threw in an entire loaf of bread and ended up killing everything. And it wasn't his fault. He didn't know that he couldn't do that. It wasn't my fault because I didn't realize he was going to throw in an entire loaf of bread that had gone bad. But at the same time, there is a give and take. So I could end up with an entire bucket of dead worms after this, or it could end up being a fabulous experiment where he then transfers this onto somebody else and he wants a bigger bin and wants maybe one of these worm bags or something like that. My point is that you can't look down on people that are willing to try this, that have not put in 20 hours of research and read every book on this subject. I mean, you have to sort of jump in with 2 feet like you do with a lot of things, and you have to read some maybe and understand a little bit more. And I have gone over this with him. I've shown him my bins in the basement before and everything. But there is a learning curve to this that you just can't get from a book. You don't know that your basement might be too hot or too cold or too wet, or that if you have a bin outside that the sun hits it at one angle and it's going to cook it. You're just not going to know that until you do it. So I just want to I know a lot of people are like just very, I should say a couple people are very negative about this. And the truth is it could end up bad. But you have to try. You have to try to move forward. You have to try to push people forward. And if that doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if you never try, we're never going to get past this. I'm a firm believer, and I know it sounds like I'm going on a rant here, but I am a firm believer in the person that runs Stonyfield Farms. At one point he was selling his stuff to Walmart and people were complaining. He's like, well, if we don't go big with organic, you're never going to reach everybody. And that's the way I feel with this too. We have to make it for everybody. Not everybody wants to buy a $100 system, and some people just want to start small and just do some major things like recycling carrot peels or things like that. Major for them. But it's not going to be recycling everything in every food source in their house. I don't do that. I can't do that at this point. Maybe I will in the future, but I can't right now. So it's a give and take, but we've got to move forward. So with that, I'm sorry for the rant. I'll probably try to put something in the comments about where you can start if you want to skip it. But let's go to the bin now and take a look at it. So here we go. So this is the bin. Again, I have these mounted in the bottom. I used some glue on the bottom here that should hold it in place. It's a flex glue or something like that. Somebody gave me a really good suggestion after I'd already glued these down, and that was to use PVC pipe rings and put one in each corner and maybe one in the middle, and then to glue those down. And that probably would have been a better idea than using this wood, which could rot out. But that's why I painted it. So that would have been a better idea. I don't have any PVC, so I wouldn't have been able to do that. Now, I do have some holes drilled in the sides just in case this, moves over to one side a little bit or something kind of maybe blocks it a little bit to kind of let some moist air in there. So now we're going to put this back down and we're going to open this back up, and we're back to where we were before. We have the shirts in here. We have paper underneath, and I am actually ready to put worms in here. So this is not wet or anything, so we're going to wet this down. I have the worms off to the side here. We're going to dump them in, and then we're going to cover them up with these shirts, and then we're going to put more cardboard on top, more of this shredded paper, shredded cardboard, and we're going to put more of that on top. I'm going to start spraying this down while talking. We're going to put more on top, And what we're going to try to do is make it where this is a layer kind of underneath. Let me just mix this up a little bit, get everything all nice and damp. This is a nice layer underneath that they can live in. And then I kind of have a dry layer above, and that'll hopefully keep some of the bugs out and also give moisture a place to go as far as north. You know, it can soak upward and reach other parts of the bin. So okay, this is getting nice and wet. I'm going to put in a lot of water because this is all dry right now. So, if people don't know, this is a sprayer that I bought. It's one of these pump sprayers. I'm only using it for this. I'm not spraying any chemicals out of this at all. Hold on just a minute here. I'm going to move the shirt out of the way. A little bit more. And it's never had any chemicals or anything like that in it. So this is only going to have water in it. I have it labeled for water only. And that's the way I'm going to keep it. So this is nice and damp now. You know, it might soak up a little bit more water, but it's nice and damp. It's a little, you know, let's see if I can squeeze some water out of this. Maybe a little bit more. I can't squeeze any water out of it yet. It's close though. This is about how wet you want it. There we go. We can squeeze a couple drops from it. Maybe it's a little bit more damp than it should be now, but that's okay. It's going to soak into some of this other dry paper that's in there. So now what we're going to do is I don't know how many worms I have in here, but I have a little container filled with worms and some food. And I'm going to dump this right in here. So this is just a random assortment of worms. You can see right here. And I'm just going to kind of keep them on a layer right here. I'm going to spray this down just a little bit just to make sure that they're wet. Make sure I got all the worms out of here. Could have been some babies in there. Could be some cocoons in here too. I put some shredded, if you can't tell, like right here, this orange stuff is carrot that I made a juice out of, and you know, I just kind of put that right in here. So I'm going to just kind of spray this down a little bit just to get them a little bit more moist, because you know, worms do breathe through their skin. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this shirt on top, kind of like this, and I'm going to put another layer of paper just on top of this shirt, and I'm going to try to leave the sleeves on top so we can lift it by the sleeves and get it out, and at the same time that will allow my friend to kind of lift these up. Hold on, I'm going to put some right over here, right by these sleeves here, and now lift it up and then put the sleeves back down. The other thing I could have done is, actually thinking about it, I could have also stuffed the shirt with this, and that way he could have just lifted up the entire shirt probably. Maybe next time I'll try that. It might be another idea that I can use next time. But this is going to be nice and a little bit dry. It'll soak up some of the moisture that comes up through the top, but the idea is that I was thinking is that he can kind of lift these sleeves up like this, put the food underneath, and put this back down. And he can bury it if he wants, but he doesn't have to necessarily. It's already sort of buried by itself. So that's my idea for this bin. This is how it'll be when it goes to him, and I'm hoping it slowly fills up with food, and the drainage in the bottom, anything will drain out, and then he would just take this entire system outside, take this top part off, and then dump that bottom unit out in his yard, and that way he can keep it going. So that's my idea, and I'm hoping this works for him. I'm going to give it to him probably a little bit later this week. And thank you for your time, and please like and subscribe to my videos. Thank you.